Hey, can you find a water bottle for me?
Something so simple.
Good afternoon. Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, February the 9th. Well, we had the beginnings of a brief government shutdown early this morning because Congress couldn't finish action on a budget before midnight last night, but the work got done. Can't blame this one on the Democrats. Rand Paul, the Republican from Kentucky, held up action in the Senate. He wanted to say what a bunch of hypocrites they were for worrying about deficits under Barack Obama while approving a big budget bill that is going to explode the deficit even further because of increased spending. Rand Paul would have sounded a little less hypocritical himself had he not voted for the huge tax cut for the wealthy that also is going to add more than $1 trillion to the country's deficit. Oh well, the Senate got the job done. They couldn't have gotten the job done in the House, where Paul Ryan should have had enough votes from Republicans alone to pass the budget, but needed 70 votes from Democrats to get the budget over the hump. They did before it was all over with. All the Arkansas members of Congress voted for the budget except for one, Bruce Westerman. He's a budget hawk, I suppose, except for when it comes to tax cuts too, like Rand Paul. Big news in Washington. Problems continue to develop over what the White House knew and when they knew it about Rob Porter, a top aide to Donald Trump who's been accused of abusing 2 ex-wives and another woman as well. The facts are pretty strong. They include photographs of an ex-wife with a black eye that Rob Porter gave her. He says, a vase jumped up and hit her somehow, unbidden by him, I suppose. The White House has lied about when they knew about this a long time ago. They haven't told the truth about the circumstance of his departure. And to put the cherry on the top of this nasty Sunday, Donald Trump today said Rob Porter was a fine fellow. And after all, he said he was innocent. And who are we to believe if one man says he's innocent and 3 women say he's guilty? Women are not worth one man, so 3 isn't enough apparently in the Trump administration. Of course, 18 women have accused Donald Trump of sexual abuse, and so far voters don't seem to matter, do they? Well, back in Arkansas yesterday, the Arkansas Supreme Court heard arguments in a case in which a Burger King franchise owner was challenging a tax imposed by the state on his business. The state had gone into this hearing at the last minute saying it was going to raise the issue of sovereign immunity. That is, a new precedent set by the Supreme Court that the state simply cannot be sued, it would seem, for any reason whatsoever. At the last minute, the state decided not to make that argument, something noted by one of the Supreme Court justices. I think what you have here is instructions from the governor. He doesn't want a state agency saying that there isn't any circumstance in which a taxpayer can challenge the decision of a state bureaucrat, particularly on a matter of taxation. If we can't challenge taxes, why have courts at all? Why have rules at all? Just let the state agencies decide. I think DFNA was told to back off on this case, so they'll decide this case on the merits of the claim over the taxation. That's probably a good thing. Speaking of the Arkansas Supreme Court, I reported yesterday that some $160,000 has been spent already by the Supreme Court in hiring lawyers to defend themselves against a lawsuit by Wendell Griffin, who was, he says, unconstitutionally thrown off death penalty cases because of his own private beliefs about the death penalty, which he says doesn't influence his decision-making. Interesting fact, I turned up with an FOI request yesterday. $86,000 of the amounts billed so far were run up by a single law firm working for a single justice, Courtney Hudson Goodson, a D.C. law firm. This outstrips the work of a couple of Little Rock firms who charged around $1,000 for their work. Not a good thing for Courtney Goodson, who faces an election contest this year. She's been criticized in the past for her expensive ways. Running up the biggest legal bill of anybody on the court won't help her. It sounds like a 30-second ad in the making. Elsewhere in state government, it's apparently time for colleges to again submit bids to hold Arkansas Governor's School, the school for brainy high school kids that's existed since 1979, not without controversy. Conservatives have long viewed it as a liberal cult of some sort, godless and terrible in all sorts of ways, and it's been held since the beginning at Hendricks, which itself is viewed as sort of a liberal bastion of education. Again, not a good thing. Nothing wrong with other colleges trying to hold this program. UCA is going to file an application, perhaps Harding as well, I understand. But there have been rumblings on right-wing websites that indicate this isn't just about location of the school. Jerry Cox of the Family Council, an LGBT hate group, has applied this year to be a teacher at Governor's School, was turned down. He said it was probably because he's a Christian. Well, I'll have you know that Governor's School was started and overseen in its early days by my mother-in-law, who was in the church every Sunday it opened. She would take take offense at saying this is some anti-Christian organization. Also, Mark Lowry, another right-wing Republican, has said he plans changes soon, and there's going to be changes in what Jerry Cox called a liberal mess at Governor's School. Jason Rapert has promised to throw in, so although I think the UCA application is straight based on what I've seen so far, the fact that these guys are hoping to meddle in the program doesn't bode well for a program that has been life-changing for hundreds and hundreds of students, and has also provided a safe haven for people of different sorts who aren't always accepted for their differentness in the small communities from which they come in Arkansas. Speaking of young people, a sad case this week. A student at Central High School in Little Rock was found unconscious in a bathroom, apparently suffering from a drug overdose. Interestingly enough, another student had in her purse Narcan, the drug that reverses opioid overdoses, and that was used to perhaps save the child from what appeared to be a drug overdose. Little Rock police say there have been numbers of drug overdose deaths and dozens reversed only within the last month in Little Rock. We have a problem, and I'm not sure that everybody's working with all the necessary speed to do something about it. The Little Rock Municipal Airport, Clinton National Airport that is, announced today this got a new nonstop location beginning in late April. Via Airlines is going to fly nonstop between Little Rock and Austin, Texas, the booming tech hub and state capital in Texas. Maybe just one way, given some of the bad developments that have happened in Little Rock lately. All we can do is resist. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back next week.